Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode in the Max Rebo Music Theory course.
Hit it, Max.
Previously, we learned how to name notes on the keyboard as well as in the treble and bass clef staffs. If you haven't seen those videos yet or want a review, I'm going to put the link in the top right corner as well as in the description down below, since everything that we talk about today is going to make a lot more sense if you understand that material first.
A great leap forward often requires first taking 2 steps back.
So today, we'll begin examining the distance between keys that are next to each other on the keyboard. And in order to do this, we'll begin naming these black keys as well and use special symbols known as accidentals. So if we look at B and C on the keyboard, we notice that there is nothing else in between these 2 keys. Whenever 2 keys are right next to each other, whether in this case as 2 white keys, or as we'll see in a little bit, a white key and a black key, this distance or interval is known as a half step. You may also hear this referred to as a semitone. In either case, this half step is the smallest interval that we have in Western music. The sound of the half step is often creepy and sinister, which is why we hear it prominently used for villain themes such as the first motion in Kylo Ren's theme, the Imperial theme from Andor, or prominently in Dr. Hemlock's theme from Bad Batch. The other place on the keyboard where we have a half step in between 2 white keys would be between E and F. But now let's look at what's going on in between every other pair of white keys. For example, if we look at the notes A and B on the keyboard, we see that there's a black key in between them. And while technically these 2 keys still touch at the bottom, we have to imagine that this black key runs the entire way between these 2 keys. The only reason it doesn't actually do this is to make playing keyboard instruments far easier. So, in order to get from A to B, we would move 1 half step from A to this black key, and then another half step from the black key to B. By moving 2 half steps, we've now moved the distance or interval of what we call a whole step, or what is sometimes confusingly referred to as a tone. We can also see this distance of a whole step between the notes C and D and E, F and G and A. The distance from one black key to the very next black key is also commonly a whole step. But let's start discussing those black keys a little bit more as well. See, these notes are placed in a way to fill in the missing half steps after we construct our major scale from C, or originally our Aeolian scale beginning on A. And don't worry, I will be explaining the major scale in the very next lesson. But we've already used our 7 letters, so in order to name these black keys, we're going to add an additional name and symbol to each black key to describe its relation to the white keys around it. If I wanted to describe a note that was a half step above a white key, I would refer to it using the letter of the white key below, and then add what looks like a hashtag symbol, or what's known as a sharp, to the note. So the black key just above or to the right on the keyboard of C could also be called C sharp. The next black key could be called D sharp since it's a half step above D. The one above F could be called F sharp, then G sharp, and then A sharp. But what if we want to refer to a note that's below a white key? Well, then we use a symbol known as a flat, which looks kind of like an italicized B. So the black key right below D could also be referred to as D flat, and the one below E could be called E flat. The one below G would be G flat, then A flat, and B flat. So depending on what we're trying to convey, each black key can have a different name as either a sharp or a flat note. This ability to refer to the same key with different names is what's known as an enharmonic.
Luke, you're going to find that many of the truths we cling to depend greatly on our own point of view.
And this is where things start to get a little more confusing. See, that note that we've been calling F up until now, well, it's a half step above E. So it could also be referred to as E sharp, and the note E could also be referred to as F flat. The same can happen between the notes B and C, where B can also be called C flat since it's a half step below C, and C could also be called B sharp since it's a half step above B. Now, this may seem really silly right now to have different names for the same note, but as we get into key signatures and altered scale degrees, this ability to refer to the same key with different notes is going to really help with understanding what it is a composer is actually trying to accomplish. Just think of it like Darth Sidious also going by the name Sheev Palpatine, depending on what role he needs to play.
It is a great gift to see you alive, Your Majesty. With the communications breakdown, we've been very concerned.
I am the Senate.
Sharps and flats can be found either at the beginning of a piece of music in what's known as a key signature, which is something we'll discuss more later, or they can be found in the middle of a piece as a temporary alteration to a pitch. As we reach the next vertical line, known as a bar line though, these temporary accidentals are cancelled. But these aren't our only accidentals. Just like when we can add sharps and flats to a note, we can also cancel those accidentals by adding a different accidental known as a natural. The natural is used to either temporarily cancel out a sharp or flat that's in our key signature, or to cancel a sharp or flat in the music before the next bar line occurs. Less common than natural signs are double sharps and double flats. These special accidentals are only rarely used. The double flat looks like two flats, while the double sharp looks kind of like an X, thanks to some Baroque composers who preferred that over two sharps. Both of these accidentals function as their name suggests, by raising for the double sharp or lowering for the double flat a specified pitch by two half steps. So a C double flat would be the same key on the keyboard as B flat or A sharp. As another example, F double sharp would be the same key on the keyboard as G or A double flat. And so every key on the keyboard can have multiple different names depending on the accidentals, which may seem confusing, but remember, Star Wars fans, we have villains such as Darth Vader, also known as Anakin Skywalker.
I am not your failure, Obi-Wan. Anakin's gone. I am what remains. You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker. I did.
Kylo Ren, also known as Ben Solo,
Son is dead.
No.
Kylo Ren is dead. My son is alive.
Darth Sidious,
It is a
also
great
known
gift
as
to see
Sheev
you alive,
Palpatine,
Your Majesty.
and the Emperor,
Am the Senate.
Snoke, also known as Kino Loy,
How's your wound?
My name is Kino Loy. I'm the day shift manager on level 5.
and Darth Maul.
Formerly Darth, now just Maul.
So those are our smallest intervals of half steps and whole steps, and the accidentals that we use to spell them. You'll rarely see a piece of music that doesn't use accidentals to some degree in the score. And the more you become acquainted with these different sharps, flats, and other accidentals, the more comfortable they will become to read and interpret. And I encourage you to practice this on your own as well to help translate the music you see. my next video will discuss how we use these half steps and whole steps to construct the major scale.
I'm looking forward to completing your training.
But in the meantime, let me know if you have any questions at all about half steps, whole steps, or accidentals. And as always, may the be with you.